moving forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Essay, for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have gathered a group of distinguished experts to share their insights and experiences on mentorship. But before we dive into a discussion, let's take a moment to understand what mentorship is and why it is important for your journey as a Toastmaster, as a guest, as a career, as a woman, as a man, as youth, any person, whoever you are. We are here to help you and help each one of us understand what mentorship is all about. Mentorship is a relationship between an experienced mentor and a mentee, where the mentor basically provides guidance, support, and advice, to help the mentee achieve their goals. Mentorship has been around for centuries, and it has proven to be a lot valuable for especially professional persons and personal growth. However, with advancement in technology, I'm sure each and every one of us in this room shares the same experience. The human connection has become less and less, leading to the decline in mentorship. And it's unfortunately so. Many people today rely on online communication resources, what we call algorithms, to find answers to questions. And this has led to a decline in the importance placed on human connection, and that is mentorship. But as we know, there is no substitute for human connection and personal experience. It's very important that we keep our human connection to remain human. That is one thing we need to understand and get off today in this particular session. And that is why mentorship is as important today as it has been for centuries. A good mentor can provide a wealth of knowledge and guidance and help you navigate the challenges you face in your professional and personal life. Now, let's get started with our mentorship panel session. Our program for today has been shared at the chat session. In case it's not been shared, Mr. S.A., kindly share the program for today, but I will briefly take you through what entails today's session. First, our panelists will each have a few minutes to introduce themselves and share their thoughts on mentorship, and this will be done in no particular order. After that, I will ask them a series of questions related to mentorship, and they will have the opportunity to provide in-depth responses at the end of the session. So each mentor will share at least key takeaways about mentorship at the end of the session. And finally, we will then have a question and answer session after their presentations, where you as the audience, our guests, our Toastmasters, can ask questions directly to your panelists. It's an opportunity to engage with them at a personal level. You can do this in two ways. All right. You can do this either through the chat, where you put in your questions, type them in either during the discussions, but you can also do that by raising your hand, but only use that using the icons below your screen. Okay, raise your hand and the SAA or myself will pick on you, give you an opportunity. You'll be unmuted by our Zoom administrator, and you'll be able to engage directly with the mentors. So the Q&A session will last approximately 7 minutes. I encourage all of you to participate actively in this session and to engage with our panelists as they speak using the chat. This is an opportunity for you. There's no other opportunity like this. It is an opportunity for you to learn from the experiences and insights of experts who are our panelists today in the field of mentorship. So let's make the most out of it. Without further ado, please let us try and unmute and welcome our panelists to the stage. Please join me in giving them a warm round of applause. If you're able to do that, please do that. Use the emojis, use the icons, whatever you have to do. Let us applaud, because these are great people in their respective fields, and they've taken time to come and share with us about mentorship. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased, I am honored, and I'm humbled to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Soyum Shah. Dr. Soyum Shah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, and good evening.
Good evening. Dr. Shah is actually a marketing and communications director at the Kingsway Group of Companies, a philanthropist and a dedicated volunteer. She currently serves as the Cabinet Secretary for District 411A of Lions Club International and is Vice President Education in Iconic Toastmasters Club. Iconic Toastmasters Club, are we in the house? Are we there? Just put in the chat to support. In addition, she's also a youth leader for Africa and is actively mentoring over 50, please get this, 50 young people across the continent. I'm sure I've not done justice to this introduction. I will let Dr. Soyum to briefly introduce herself to you and share with us what mentorship means to her. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Toastmaster Joan, and I'm honored to be here with all of you today. As Joan mentioned, a synopsis of me, I am an advocate youth mentor for the whole of different parts of Africa. I have 50 youth under me. I work in a lot of different fields, from philanthropy to business to leadership and to humanities. In all spectrums, I also have a mentorship career program and growth program that I work with. And in addition to that, I work with a lot of civility programs. And what is mentorship to me? A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within a mentee than you see in yourself and helps bring out in the most and best possible manner. And that is a synopsis. Thank you. Over to you, Joan.
Wow, wow. I'd kindly ask you to repeat that definition, because that was selflessness, where you directed mentorship to the mentee being more than you as a mentor yourself. Let us get this from you once again, Dr. Soyum.
A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within a mentee than you see in yourself, and brings out the best possible manner within you.
Wow, profound. I've never, even the dictionary doesn't explain it that way. So thank you very much, Dr. Soyum. That is profound. A mentor is basically a mentor whose talent and ability sees more talent in a mentee than himself or herself. Thank you so much for that definition. To our next panelist, I would like to introduce distinguished Toastmaster, Njeri Gathii. Njeri Gathii. Njeri Gathii, let me just briefly, because I know she's best to talk about herself, but just to give you a brief journey of Njeri, you know, through her Toastmasters journey. Njeri has been a member of the Anchor Toastmasters Club. I'm sure most of you know her for that. And since July 2017, and has made great strides in her Toastmasters journey. Currently on her third path, you know, she is dedicated and experienced in Toastmasters, serving as well as an area director in Area 19 for three clubs in Ethiopia. She has also held various leadership positions, you know, and she's also accomplished as a lot as a Toastmaster. Njeri is also a personal branding coach and brand storyteller, helping professionals and small businesses to effectively share their stories. But this story can be best explained by Njeri Gathii herself. Let's welcome the distinguished Toastmaster Njeri to introduce herself to us. Njeri, over to you.
Thank you, Moderator Joan. I am a personal branding coach, as Joan has said, and a brand strategist. I help professionals who want more be able to articulate their value and increase their visibility for greater reward. I also help small and micro businesses to tell their brand stories to their target audience, because I believe that every one of us as individuals and as corporates have a story to tell. And if we tell that story effectively, then we will be able to reach the people we need to reach and make a difference in their lives.
Wow, Njeri. That's a lot in one, but I'd love to hear from you, from your perspective, either as a Toastmaster and also a leader in branding. How do the two intertwine? How would you define mentorship, basically, and bring branding into it from a personal perspective?
Thank you, Joan. I have never thought of branding and mentorship, but it goes together. First, I see that mentorship, I would define basically mentorship as sitting at the feet of someone else for the sake of learning from them. So if we look at mentorship, the way it started, and the way it used to happen even in our old times, you would find that probably somebody is a medicine man or medicine woman, and you needed to learn the trade so that it is passed on to the next generation. And you would sit under the feet of that person to learn day by day so that you are eventually able to do exactly what they do. And so I would say mentorship is walking alongside someone who has walked the way before so that you can learn and grow in a certain area. In terms of branding and in terms of telling stories, all of us being brands, all of us, when it comes to mentorship, the reason a mentor invests in you is because there is already something in you. And as the previous panelist has said, they see the best in you. That is the story within you or your brand, and they are able to help you to bring it out, be it in the area of communication, be it in the area of leadership, be it in the area of career, is it in relationships, whatever area that is, somebody walks alongside with you, and then you learn from them and keep growing. Thank you.
Spectacular. Spectacular, Njeri. I've gotten 3 things from you. Literally, a mentee is a person who sits at your feet. That used to happen, 2 centuries ago when you want to listen to the elders, you'd literally sit down. That might also betray my age, but it's all right. And I love that description of mentee. And also you talked about walking alongside with your mentor as a mentee. And finally, you wrap that up where a mentor invests in you if they see something greater than themselves. Beautiful. Thank you, Njeri, for that. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our last panelist, Dr. Manoj Shah. Dr. Manoj Shah himself. Dr. Shah is a well-known business leader, a philanthropist in Kenya, by the way, and around the world. He has extensive experience and interests in a variety of industries, including property, including finance, hospitality, and much more. Currently, he serves as the chairperson of the Kingsway Group and a prominent conglomerate with interest in Village Market. Most of us who stay in Nairobi might be familiar with that, the Tribe, Trademark Hotels, and the MP Shah Hospital. Please let us give a warm welcome to Dr. Manoj Shah as he introduces himself. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Moderator Joan, for having me in this very important session of mentorship, which is very near and dear to my heart. Just to add on to your introduction, I'm also the charter president of the iconic Toastmasters Club. In fact, coming from the corporate world, for the last almost 20 years, I have been mentoring many young individuals who want to become entrepreneurs and enter the corporate field. And this is an area where I've gained a lot of experience and helped tremendous amount of young people to map their way out and to plan themselves on how to become successful entrepreneurs. And being an alumni of USIU, just recently before COVID, I also took up the challenge of officially mentoring many of the students studying there who would like to be helped. And what I see as a mentor, I see myself as someone who gets the great satisfaction of helping somebody along and helping somebody take advantage of an opportunity that maybe he or she did not have. And just to paraphrase what Soyum said, and her identity that you liked much is a mentor, is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. Of course, the purpose of being a good mentor is to help a mentee grow as a person and at the end of the day, become the best version of yourself. Back to you, Joan.
Wow, wow. If nuggets were a plate, my plate will be full today. These are words of wisdom and humility at its best. Now, to move on swiftly to our next session, I'd like to engage the panelists now delve deeper into the experiences, bring the stories to life, because this is one of the opportunities where you get to see or hear the true stories of our panelists today. And we're humbled, to sit literally, as DTM Gathii indicated, literally at their feet today and get nuggets of wisdom. So allow me to begin with the first question, and this is directed to Dr. Soyum. Dr. Soyum, just describe your personal experiences with mentorship in your career, because based on your introduction, you're a marketing and communications manager, and this is no mean feat. This is not a simple career, but I know there are steps that you have taken to get to that particular space of leadership, space of career. And how has it impacted you? How has mentorship impacted your growth, and how has it impacted your development as the career person you are?
Well, thank you. So let me share a little story with you. Since I was 6 years old, I could see my father taking me in a Thai center growing up, in where every time he was building new branches, and I can vividly see how I could smell the rubber, and since then I fell in love. So since the tender age of 6, I started driving with him on Saturdays and Sundays and anytime I could for all the branch visits. And as I started growing up, since the tender age of 11, 12, I started joining him in sales meetings. So since then, at a younger age, I started developing my interest in understanding the art of learning. But why is mentorship important? Because I saw the essence of hard work. I saw it since a young age. I saw how my father would sacrifice his Sundays to take me in the car with him for a ride, whereas he was going to go and add value to money. When you talk about my philanthropic life, my father was holding me in his arms at the tender age of 3 years old when taking me for my first activity. Kid you not, at 34 years old today, I've never celebrated a birthday party because he's always advocated for me and taught me since a younger age to share my birthday with the less fortunate. And that's why I'm here today. So the essence of growing up during mentorship. Now, when I went to university, he told me it's not about the money. It's about the value and essence of hard work. You can either get everything on a gold plate, or you can learn what you're privileged and what you can do and work hard for it. Yeah, there is no difference between me or you or anyone else around us. So whilst I was in university, he made me start getting jobs and working. And then he started telling me to start paying for a little bit of my accommodation or my food. And slowly, as I did my master's, I was self-sufficient to pay for myself. It was again the essence of hard work. After my journey in my university career, when I came back, it was about starting from rock bottom, from downwards up. It was starting to work as a cleaner, to learn the CBA, to learn what HR was, to learn what procurement was, to learn the essence of how a store is managed, and then start building up my career and building into teams. And since then, I learned what it was. I had many tears. I had to shed a lot of stress. Coming back and being a manager of like 20 different tribes in Kenya and working with so many different women and working with commissions was one of my greatest challenges. And you know what? It was always said that we're all the same and let's work together to build your own identity. Whilst my father's built his own identity, he's instilled it in me to build my own self, but work the hard way. Don't always you can have a gold bed, but it can be the most uncomfortable bed, where you can work hard to have the most comfortable mattress. And that is what is sustained. So that is where I am today. And I'm still growing and developing myself and always willing to keep learning.
Oh my God. First of all, Dr. Soyum, I have to mention this, and I think I should change my resolutions for 2023 about celebrating birthdays. And I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. That has particularly touched my heart. I don't know about the audience, but if you're touched by Dr. Shah's story, I mean, please put it on the chat. But what I've gotten from you, from all this discussion, it's not about the money. It's about the essence of hard work. So if you can go through that, if you can go through, the normal tribulations that each one of us goes through, but you work hard to make sure that you get to the point of where you're supposed to be, then I would say that is the essence of becoming a mentee. I believe that is the point where you said, I think I was taught well, and we're learning from you. Thank you very much for sharing your personal story. And this gears me up, to my second question, which I'll direct this to DTM Njeri Gathii. Njeri, I know you have been, you are a pillar in the Toastmasters journey. You also are a pillar in the branding space. I'd love, and I believe the audience also would love to know, how do you approach finding a mentor? This is something I also struggle myself, and I know some of this has been shared by the panelists earlier on, that you look for something that is greater from your mentee, but I'd like to hear from you, but possibly your journey is different. What qualities do you look for in a mentor, and what relationships do you foster?
Thank you, moderator Joan.
Yes.
The first thing, and it's a very basic thing that I look for in a mentor, is availability and willingness. In fact, every time I write to someone who I would like to sit under their feet to learn something, I ask them, are you willing and available? Willingness and availability is just basic, because a lot of times you come into, especially, let me talk about Toastmasters, because Toastmasters is where most of us have encountered a defined form of mentoring. And it is a place where you stand up, you deliver a speech, and sometimes your evaluator will ask you, did you use a mentor? I know my club had that habit of asking you, did you actually use a mentor? Because the way you're presenting that speech, it looks like there was no mentorship done over here. And so in Toastmasters, I think the impact of mentoring has become very large within Toastmasters. And I think I take Toastmasters I take mentoring more seriously now that I've encountered it in Toastmasters. So the first thing is willingness and availability, because if you're presenting just your starting speeches, or you're being mentored for a role, all you need is someone who is willing and available, and they have done that before. So do you know the structure, the basic structure of a speech, and how to introduce yourself to this club? Then can you tell me? Because you see, a lot of times people do not want to be mentors because they think, I am not DTM Njeri. I haven't finished the whole part. But do you know the basic structure of a speech? And then do you know how to introduce yourself to a speech? Then to a club, then you can mentor me for my icebreaker speech. So the first thing is willingness and availability, and that they know something beyond me. And then the other major thing is commitment, because sometimes you get someone who tells you, yes, we will walk this journey together. And then you send in your speeches, or you seek time to sit with them, and they are not available. So I also look for commitment. Are you committed to me? Because as the previous panelists have spoken, all those mentoring relationships, cannot happen unless someone is committed to you, committed to seeing you grow. I have seen people coming my way, and I just want them to be better. I can see them growing, getting out of their fear of public speaking. And I want to walk them because I can see there's something greater ahead for them if someone walks with them. And sometimes if you leave these people alone, they'll be saying, no, I can't take up a role. I am not able to do this. But in mentoring, when I'm committed to them, then it helps them go a long way. I like if my mentor has the ability to challenge me to be more. I once wrote a speech on storytelling. I was very excited telling this story, and I sent it to my mentor in Toastmasters. It was a level 3 speech. And he called me and said, is there something else we can write about it? This one is not hitting it. I don't feel the heart. I don't see the story. And they had the courage to tell me to redo the speech because they could see there was capability within me and I can do better than this. So I have so far said willingness and availability, then commitment, then the ability to challenge me. So they do not want me to remain the same, so that I think I am good and so that they don't break me, but they have the ability to challenge me. And I would say that, lastly, I would say something I desire. So at first, so long as they know how to guide me, I don't mind it. But with time also, I look for something I desire. For example, the first time I entered the humorous speech contest, I looked for someone who had been in a humorous speech contest, and I asked, how do you prepare a humorous speech? And that person walked with me until I got to the district finals. So someone who has something that I desire, maybe there's a way you tell stories, and I love it. I would love to learn to tell stories in that way. Maybe you are such a successful president or a successful division director. I want to learn from you. Or maybe it is the way you're a great treasurer, and I want to learn from that. So is there something that I'm working on that I need someone who can work with me? And then I look around the Toastmaster community, and I'm able to get a mentor. Then the same things apply outside there. Is there someone who is running business that you, in a way that you want to run it? Is there someone who has moved from corporate into entrepreneurship and you want to learn? Or there's someone whose marriage you admire? So then I can go and look for mentorship from such a person. Those basically are the basics of mentoring, because when someone is mentoring you, they don't have to be an expert. If they can walk with you from this step to the next 2 steps, then you can find another greater mentor way ahead. Thank you.
Wow. Absolutely, Njeri. I have to tell you, you have read my script. There's so many nuggets of wisdom that you've mentioned, and you know what you're talking about. You've turned table, actually. You turned tables in this particular aspect. You want, as a mentee, if you're looking for a mentor, what I got from you, from your discussion, is that you look for you in someone, right? So if you want to become a CEO, you have to look for someone you aspire to be like, to become your mentor. And I love that. And mentorship is just not a word. Mentorship is availability and willingness. You have to have the commitment. You must want to go through the long journey, and there'll be low points and high points. Regardless of the seasons, Njeri, I love the way you told us you have to commit. Excellent nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And just to knit this to the next question, because, and this goes to Dr. Shah, Manoj Shah, that you have dealt with different groups. You have mentored, I'm sure, tremendous people. The youth, you have, mentored, underserved. You have mentored women. You have mentored men. You have mentored all people in walks of life. Now, just for the interest of the audience, and I would be selfish also for myself, for my interest as well. How do you foster supportive and an inclusive environment for mentorship, particularly for individuals from underrepresented groups? And allow me to define underrepresented groups. And this is not limited to, women and girls, especially in rural areas where the gender bias, they cannot access mentorship, especially when the mentor is of the opposite sex. and also the physically disabled, you know, and the mental disabled, an issue that is facing most of our youths today. If you want to mentor, for example, someone who is mentally disabled today, and highly likely you're not at the same level, but you know you want to help this person or any other person who is underrepresented, we're interested to know, how do you handle mentorship in underserved groups?
Thank you, Joan, for bringing this question up. And to be very honest, at this point in time, just a couple of weeks ago, I started mentoring a young girl, 24 years old, who has a visual disability, and I met her at the Lions Eye Hospital. In fact, the first time when I met her, she had a problem with her left eye, and her vision was actually 3/9, and that's the point in time she asked me that, is there anything that you can do to help my eye? Of course, being a philanthropist, I took the first step forward. I helped her, got a pair of specialized glasses to improve her vision from 3/9 to 6/9. She was definitely pleased with that. And of course, as we were conversing, I asked her that what is her career and what has she done and what is her vision of going forward. And she comes from a middle class background, from parents who are uneducated, and she has no brothers or anybody sustainable to help her map out her vision. And all of a sudden, as she shared with me that she's a graduate from Strathmore College, she has interest in business development and finance, and she asked me that, how do I go about enhancing my career? And this is a true story, an ongoing story, that I am mentoring this girl almost for the last 4 weeks. And coming to the underrepresented groups, and when I related to this young girl that I've been mentoring for the last 4 weeks, I can only share with the audience that one of the skills that I acquired very early in my mentorship life over the last 20 years has been my listening skills. And in fact, I've become an excellent listener more than what I talk. And by listening, I actually understand the pain, the agony, the vision of what the person, he or she, is going through. And in this particular case, it is my listening skills that helped me first and foremost to identify that this young girl needed help. Secondly, how do I listen to her and convince her that I would be most willing to mentor her and map her journey to become a successful person in future. And talking about underrepresented groups, I always strive to foster a supportive and inclusive environment for mentorship of the underrepresented by utilizing the 4 most important pillars of mentoring, which are first and foremost building trust, which in this case, I built a lot of trust with this girl. She started trusting me, and hence this led to mutual respect between the both of us, where I also clearly, by my listening skills, understood her expectations, and through effective communication, we are now on a very good foundation. And of course, talking about individuals from unrepresented groups, in my experience with this girl that I'm mentoring now, to be very honest, investing a little time at the beginning of your mentoring program to explicitly discuss the relation, expectations, and communicate logistics have paid great dividends, especially in reducing frustrations and improved satisfaction. And just to conclude, the delicate balance of mentoring someone of this nature is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Back to you, Joan.
Wow, wow, wow. If there's anything I think I have ignored through the mentorship or mentees journey, is the listening skills. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that we are not good listeners, but the way you have tied that to understanding a mentee, and I think this applies to each and every person, whether you're mentor or mentee, the most and the foremost important thing before you embark on helping or lifting someone else up, you have to listen and to understand to their immediate need. And this is seen by the lady, for the young lady that you mentored first. Her immediate need was sight, not education, not food, because with the immediate need being solved, then everything else falls into place. And what you brought out and what you have done to this young girl is tremendously great. We appreciate that, your contribution and your skills in this. And talking about skills, this gets me curious, and I'm sure our audience is curious as well, that becoming a mentorship, other than communication and listening skills, they are a cocktail of skills that are needed to become a mentor. Now, for some people, for example, like myself, trying to learn as a protege as well, because I've gone through a protege relationship. And I remember when I joined Toastmaster, my first contact was Angela Rariera. For those who know, this lady is tremendous. She got me into the system together with Mr. Erastus Ouko. I had two great, strong mentors, and I thought my world was over because what they presented to me, I said, I can't achieve this. As a matter of fact, at some point, I almost left, but they listened. And this has been brought out more clearly by Dr. Manoj, that listen to who you're mentoring and solve their immediate need. I love that. And allow me to drive this to DTM Njeri. DTM Njeri, as a Toastmaster leader, as a business leader, and I know you have tremendous skills in so many fields. We're curious to know, how do you incorporate different styles of mentorship? First, what are your styles of mentorship in your own leadership practices? It could be peer mentorship, group mentorship, and virtual mentorship, etc. But how do you incorporate, and what are your styles of mentorship? Over to you.
Thank you, Joan. I think my style of mentorship are all of them. And I will start with peer mentorship. Peer mentorship is really what we have in Toastmasters, because everyone in Toastmasters can add some value to you. I always tell every Toastmaster that is joining that nobody comes to Toastmasters with an empty basket. Nobody. Everybody has something in there, and someone else can learn from you. All you need is to be willing and to be available to share and to give. Toastmasters is based on 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of Toastmasters is 1, experiential learning. The second one is self-paced learning. The third one is peer feedback. And the fourth one is mentoring. That means that as we come in, all these things are things we experience, and all these are things or are ways we serve one another. And so when it comes to peer mentoring, it means that each one of us is a mentor to someone. The first thing you do when you come into Toastmasters, you come in as a new person, and then you are onboarded, and hopefully you are allocated a mentor. In our club, we have a new member mentoring where we are able to mentor new members and tell them how Toastmasters can connect them with their goals. Just overview of how is Toastmasters, where do you connect? And if they have someone they need to ask anything related to Toastmasters, they have us as the first place of contact. And so we have the onboarding. You can say that is where we say experienced Toastmasters are able to do this. And there are many other roles that are done by what we call experienced Toastmasters. However, all of us come to Toastmasters, whether we are experienced or not. Even when we are DTM, the reason I keep renewing my membership is because I have something to learn. I have something I'm working on in my public speaking journey and in my leadership journey. So there is nobody who is in Toastmasters because, well, now I have arrived, I can show you how this is done. I still need mentorship. And when I'm looking for mentorship, I do not necessarily check whether you are a seasoned Toastmasters or you have been in Toastmasters for long. I just check, what do you have? The other day, I encountered a very young vice president education. And she asked me, I was really struggling to finish level 2. Level 2 is always quite a struggle for me. I think it's because it's intrusive, and I was struggling. And she told me, do you want me to mentor you? And I said, yes. And she brought such insights to my speeches. She introduced a certain aspect of the 1/3 rule about audience engagement, where she taught me that 1/3 of the people, they really like you all do, 1/3 of you. And she said 1/3 of the people are willing to give you a chance as you speak. And then there is 1/3 that don't care. That was eye-opening. And she told me, then that is why you need to do this and the other. I had been in Toastmasters for over 4 years. I had never had such insight. And so when we talk about peer mentoring, it means that each one of us have something we can give each other. And sometimes when you do not have time to reach your mentor, please work with whoever is available near you, because they can add such value for you to learn and get into the next thing. Then the other aspect is what we would call group mentoring. And group mentoring happens a lot when we are mentoring teams. So you could be having a group of EXCO members you're mentoring. A lot of us as area directors, much as we are serving, we are also mentoring. Because most of the time when you're an area director or a division director or above that, you have served in the EXCO and you are able to mentor. Are you looking for an opportunity to mentor a group? That could be a new club. When you're doing new club mentoring, you know how to run the roles, you know how to prepare speeches, and you're able to stand with people in a team and be able to walk with them as they learn how to execute. That means you can either be a club coach, you can be a club mentor, and be able to support that group. When we talk about virtual mentoring, it just means that a virtual meeting like this one, you have no limits. You can mentor someone from everywhere. After, I think last year, Batuan, I encountered a lady from district, I think 91, and it is based in the UK. She wanted to be mentored for her public relations manager role because I had been a PRM before and she wanted mentorship. That was possible because of virtual mentoring. My first Pathways mentor was from Ghana, and her name is Patricia. At that point, we in Eastern Africa we were just starting Pathways, and there was nobody to show us. Nobody had gone before us. And I got a mentor from Ghana. So virtual mentoring helps us to just reach out. You want to speak to the world champion of public speaking for last year? You can handle that through virtual mentorship. So there are different aspects of mentoring that we are able to engage in. Peer mentoring, meaning that you can mentor anyone and you can be mentored by anyone. And then we'll have group mentoring, and then we can have it anyway, either meeting physically or virtually. Back to you, Joan.
Wow. I can attest to you that how I knew mentorship was mentorship in general, but I have to relate to virtual mentoring because like personally, I'm being mentored by people not even within, my area of jurisdiction. I remember when I joined Toastmasters, it was a physical meeting, and I wanted a mentor who was not in the club. So I was advised, if you want that mentor, you have to go to their club. It was, yes, within Nairobi, but in a different club. That means I have to go physically, and every time they have a meeting. And that really connects to what you have said, DTM Gathii, is that virtual mentorship is one of the key mentorships that we can actually engage in this era of technology. And also the fact that you mentioned there's peer mentorship and also there's group mentoring. Love those styles of mentorship. That means we can explore mentorship in many different ways. And that brings me to innovation. And I would throw this to Dr. Manoj about innovation. Dr. Manoj, share with the audience on any innovation or any creative approaches to mentorship that you have seen or experienced in your career. I'm sure they're tremendous and your experience is great. Would love to hear that from you.
Thank you very much. I really don't want to compete with Njeri on storytelling, but talking about innovation and doing things differently, it only reminds me of another person that I had the opportunity of mentoring 2 years ago. This was a student who had graduated from USIU. He had graduated with honors. He finished his master's, and as he entered into the job market, he couldn't find a single job. In fact, the only job that was available to him was a bus driver or a conductor, because he did not have any contacts. And out of frustration, in fact, the fellow became distressed. He had mental health issues. He had issues at home, and he was almost on the verge of starting drug abuse. In fact, he thought that that would be the solution to all his problems. However, lucky for him, I happened to be on the USIU campus on that particular day. And as I was launching my book, One in a Million, this gentleman came up to me and said that, Dr. Shah, I do not have a single coin in my pocket. Can I please have a copy of your book? Of course, looking at this particular individual, at the first instance, I could feel, I could sense that this young gentleman was distressed. I gave him a copy of my book, and together with my book, I gave him my business card. To be very honest, the very next day, the gentleman came to me. He messaged me and said that if you have any availability, I would like to meet with you. Of course, being a philanthropic person, being a mentor, I only thought that this young gentleman wanted some advice from me. And as he came to me and shared with me his story, I told him that, young man, I don't mind being your mentor for the next couple of weeks and trying to map out your future and help you out with your woes. In fact, he told me something very shocking and surprising in the second meeting that I had with him as a mentor. He told me, Dr. Shah, last night I was contemplating on committing suicide. In fact, I had a pesticide that my mother had bought for me, and I almost thought that I would take the pesticide and end my life because I can see no future for myself. And immediately I thought to myself as a mentor, what is it that I could do differently? What is it that I could find a new innovation or find a new way of helping this first person? And as I thought about it, I thought about, why don't I try reversal mentoring? And as I listened to this young man, I used this new innovative technique, which is called reversal mentoring. And I talked to him, and instead of me telling him what to do, I told him that, young man, I'm exactly in the same shoes as you. And in fact, last night, I was also thinking of ending my life because I also have many financial challenges in my company, in my business, and I also have family issues with my wife and my daughter. They are almost divorcing me, and I want to end my life. Can you help me, and can you recommend to me what should I do? And using the reversal technology as an innovation, getting him to think outside the box and putting himself in other people's shoes that are in similar situation. In fact, that was a big win. And in the third session that I had with him, he opened up. In fact, by using the reversal technology throughout my third, fourth, fifth session, he himself came up with solutions of how he could help himself and build his career. Fast track, 2 years down the line, this gentleman has actually told me that you have been my biggest mentor, as instead of learning from you, I learned from myself by just talking to you. And today he is working in the Central Bank of Kenya. He's got a very stable job. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I received an invitation card of him getting married, where he says that I want to see you at my wedding day. So this is just a new innovation that I wanted to share with all of you. Mentoring is not about a one-way traffic, but sometimes when you come into situations, use the reversal mentoring technique, and that would help immensely. Back to you, Joan.
Wow, wow. I don't know what the members of the audience are feeling right now. The panelists are on fire. The nuggets are unbelievable. The stories are profound. They're engaging. They're personal. Reverse mentorship. As a matter of fact, let me use reverse mentorship to you, Dr. Manoj. Why don't you write a book on reverse mentorship? I'm happy to mentor you on that. I have no idea where I'll start, but I will do it. Reverse mentoring. This is something that I've learned today, but if you as the audience, if you have anything to share with our panelists, please put it on the chat. I'm sure they would love to hear from you. Let us reverse mentor this session today. And thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for that. That was absolutely amazing. And this gets me to, asking at particular points, for example, the young man that you mentored, the fact that they got into particular stages of their life, I'm sure they said, I have been successful because Dr. Manoj existed, or I am a successful Toastmaster because I engaged with DTM Njeri, or I am a successful marketing and communications director as a result of Dr. Soyum. I will direct this to Dr. Soyum. How do you measure the impact and success of mentorship, a mentorship relationship, and what steps can be taken to sustain this over time? How did you know you achieved success, and how do you maintain that over time? Over to you.
Well, thank you for your question, and I definitely cannot compete with DTM Njeri and Dr. Manoj with storytelling, but let me just share with you some things that I've learned over the years. I always measure the impact and success of mentorship relationship by measuring how the mentee has understood and accepted change as a fundamental step towards success or embracing many of the solutions that we have formulated together, and embracing change is the first step. So before I go on to explain what my famous 3As are, I can share with you a story of one of my most successful mentees who's sitting on the call today, and his name is Zamir Jamal. Now, Zamir Jamal, I've known him since he was 10 years old. And when I met him, he was a young student in a school. And I got him on the LEO program, which is a humanitarian program. Then I grew him up to groom him to lead other LEOs. By the time he was 15, he ended up having over 50 LEOs, and LEOs are young lions which are in the schools. And they created clubs of philanthropic and leadership. And he started becoming the head of training a lot of the youth in community service. Now, what happens in Africa? We grow up in a third world service, and something that I always believe in. It's so easy to talk about things that happen around us. It's so easy to see poverty. It's so easy to feel sorry for the people staying in the slums and what we have around it. But the question is, what are we doing about it? And the youth today can talk so much, but how much do they action? Because it has been so immune to their systems. They're so used to going out and driving on the road and seeing a beggar on the street. But what are you doing about it? And how do we condition the youth to make a change? So what I did with Zamir as I was growing up is we started developing programs in schools where we could get the youth to start engaging with their hands. What happens is when you do, you understand and you feel more than seeing and sharing on social media and feeling sorry for. And since that program, today we're so proud that we've managed over the past 10 years to get over 3,500 youths to join this program. Zamir was a true advocate of seeing is and doing is more than seeing. And that's what we've advocated for. So now he has been my mentee for the past 13 years. As we were growing up and he went to university and I started working, I started trying to cushion him even in his university days to start being part of our clubs and start being part of our in our workplace, and to help and understand the mentoring I do with the other youths around. Today, through his, and he was also a USIU graduate, and he was also under Dr. Manoj. Then he also got to do his internship with us under myself. So his business acumen today, I'm so proud that he has opened 2 tire centers by himself in Rongai and running them at the age of 24 with the passion and drive that he has got and learned from us. What has he done today? I can definitely call him my protege. I may be Dr. Manoj's protege, but if there's someone who's going to take over me and who's going to step into all my footsteps, it's none other than Zamir Jamal. And why is that? Because I firmly believe, I'm a firm believer of the 3 A's in mentorship: availability, active listening, and analysis. I'm also a firm believer that availability means that a mentor should offer or avail the mentee of their time, experience, encouragement, feedback, and advice. And one thing I would ever be so grateful to Toastmasters to teach us in the art of mentorship is about building a relationship through a sandwich method of evaluation. The way we communicate positive and negative in such a good art is the fundamental towards achieving and accomplishing the goals we set out together. And together we can succeed.
Wow, was that a point? It was so beautifully articulated. Thank you so much, Dr. Soyum. I mean, availability, active listening, analysis. I'm hoping Zamir Jamal is in this forum to hear his mentee, to witness evolution of mentorship and protege relationship, which has been brought out is being brought out so well by our panelists, which brings me to another curious question, which is about individualism, because I'm sure through Zamir's, or let me call him Jamal's journey, and the fact that he's doing tremendously on mentoring other youth, etc. I'm sure there are different adaptations of styles and leaderships and different individuals to deal with. And this we face every day, the way we deal with our children, the way we deal with our peers, the way we deal with our families, and the way we deal with leaders and employees and colleagues is differently, and every particular engagement requires special skills. DTM, Njeri, I'd like to pose this to you. How can mentorship help to bridge the personal gaps we have between ourselves and the people around us, ourselves with our peers, ourselves with our colleagues, ourselves with friends, mentors, colleagues, proteges, etc., and separate goals from personal ambitions, and aspirations, or more so, align as well their goals with the individual and different personalities.
Thank you, Joan.
Right.
When you talk about aligning, if we, to mention about personalities briefly, I would say that the mentor-mentee relationship has to have chemistry. Just like most of our other relationships, you cannot work closely or alongside with someone who you do not have chemistry. And sometimes I know in Toastmasters, you have had a mentor, been allocated probably by your vice president education, and then you feel this thing is not working. And sometimes it's not even working from the mentor. The mentor may be the person who feels this is not comfortable for me, or this is not flowing well. So there is a place for chemistry. But what I love about Toastmasters is a place for reviewing. Just review and find out, is this a person I want to work with long term? Somebody may also be very successful in business or in their relationships. And then once you get near them, you realize that the way they have achieved success is probably not the way you want to go. So there is a place for chemistry. But more so, when we talk about aligning your goals and maybe achieving your goals as a mentee or even as a mentor, how do you align the two? So Njeri has goals, and then I want to be mentored by Joan, or I want to be mentored by Dr. Manoj. The first thing is for you as a mentee to determine what are your goals. Because a lot of times you are allocated a mentor. I don't mind it when there are new people in the club, because when you're new in the club, your goal is just to improve your public speaking or to stop being nervous, some goals that you don't know how to probably achieve them. And so for those ones, you give allowance. With time, they will learn what are their goals. But I think a lot of times in Toastmasters or in any other mentoring relationship, we miss out on the whole experience because we do not define our goals. What do you want to do? In my second path as a Toastmaster, in my first path as a Toastmaster, I just wanted to just learn. I was just in there, I wanted to learn. Once I finished my first path, I wanted the next path, I wanted to speak like Njeri. You know, the first year in Toastmasters, I could see so-and-so speaks very nicely. I wanted to speak like that. And then there's someone else who's very articulate. I wanted to speak like that. There's someone who had very good, I wanted to be like this, like this. But in my second path, my goal was to speak like Njeri, because I realized that nobody is speaking like Njeri. Everyone else is taken. And so I realized what are the things that I can do very well? What are the things that are difficult for me? And so I had specific goals. Even when I met with my mentor, I had specific goals of the things I wanted to achieve. I'm on my third path and I have specific goals. Currently, I'm an area director and I had specific goals in the areas I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn how to, I thought I'm really succeeding maybe in leading one-on-one or people that are very near me. But I wanted to learn, how do I lead a team? Will I be as successful? So do you have some specific goals that you want to achieve? That really helps you to align, because you come to me, I will teach you to be Njeri, and maybe it is not Njeri you wanted to be. You just wanted to be better in this area, or you wanted to be better in this particular area. As a mentor, please pick up mentoring because you have goals. Once you become a mentor, you realize that you really have a lot of learning to do. I have personally mentored so many people in Toastmasters, and it is the most humbling experience. The first thing you learn is you could be knowing so much, but are you able to transfer that knowledge to someone else in a way that they will understand? I have learned as a mentor that people learn differently. Not everybody is like Njeri. Occasionally, I'm lucky, I meet a few Njeris, I communicate as I speak, they catch it, they just nod and get it. And then there are others where I realize, will I put in my mother tongue? How do I explain a point to someone who reasons differently from me? How do I communicate? I can't keep saying I really know these things when I can only communicate them to my kind or mentor my kind. They are all different kinds of people and they understand things differently. I have mentees who write very well, and then delivery is a problem. I have to learn the different kinds of people. There are people who can barely write, they struggle, but once they stand up to deliver, there are other people you give suggestions and they incorporate very fast. All these are learnings for me. I cannot tell you how much I have learned from some very intelligent people that you meet all over in Toastmasters. So number one, as a mentor, you can become a mentor because you have goals of relating with different people. Are you the kind of person who communicates and people say, what do you mean? Explain that to me. Maybe you need to become a mentor so that you can work with different people and learn how they learn and how they understand. The other thing is you could be wanting to grow your skill as a listener, as Dr. Manoj said, or even to learn patience. Do you know mentoring requires so much patience? Sometimes you will have somebody whose speech you will take back like 4 times. You know, one time I had somebody who I returned the speech for the fourth time because my aim is for you to grow. It is not for anything else. And he eventually told me, I was told you can't return a speech more than 3 times. but I could see did not have the very basics of a speech. That calls for patience. You know, it calls for patience because not everybody takes feedback well. And so what I am saying is, do you have some goals? Some of them you can achieve by being a mentor, but you need to define them and find out what you want to achieve. And then you also want a mentor, please define your goals so that when you go to your mentor, it is an easier relationship. You will be able to agree on when to meet, on what you're achieving in how long, and you're able to review whether these goals are being met and whether you want to continue with this mentor or not. Thank you. Back to you, Joan.
Wow. Do you know, sometimes I don't have words, but Gathii, every sentiment that you articulate in your, delivery, you're reading directly into my script. And I love that about your focus in mentorship. Be yourself, otherwise everyone else is taken. Absolutely. When you spoke about chemistry, I think the last time I dealt with chemistry literally was in school, in class 8. So when you brought that, I didn't know that you have to have chemistry with the people you're mentoring, and it is true, because otherwise it would not work. And I think, Njeri, I would extend this even to the audience. You are not obligated to move towards one particular mentor because either they are famous or they have your goals. Understand, number one, do you have goals, just like what DTM Njeri has indicated? And I'm just mirroring what she has said. Understand your goals. Second, do you have chemistry with this particular person when you want to be a mentor? Because you want commitment to really be part of your journey. And lastly, be yourself. Otherwise, everyone else is taken. Thank you so much, Njeri, for those words of wisdom. And wrapping up the session, I can hear our timer is really getting into a space by alerting me. Thank you very much, Mr. Esaye. I'm going to wrap up this with the last question. Actually, that was the last question to our DTM, Njeri Gathii. I would go to Dr. Manoj. Dr. Manoj, what advice would you give to individuals seeking mentorship, and how can they effectively communicate their needs and goals to potential mentors? And I'm asking this to you as a mentor. What advice would you give in the best way possible, if you could summarize those points?
Thank you very much, Joan. And just to summarize, one of the greatest values of mentors is the ability to see ahead of what others cannot see and help them navigate a course to their destination. And I would like to leave the audience with the following 3 thoughts which come out of my experience as a mentor. I would like to share with all of you that not all mentorships end up successfully, and you have to be prepared to accept any outcome that may arise of a mentor-mentee relationship. Secondly, before engaging into mentorship, commit yourself positively to being open, honest, and most important of all, accept criticism positively. And lastly, mentorship is a special relationship that bonds people together for a long time to come. And this is something that you must keep at the back of your mind as you go through the process. Thank you very much, Joan, for giving me this opportunity, for being here and sharing my views with the August gathering here this evening. Wish you all a lovely evening. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Allow me to reiterate or repeat exactly what Dr. Manoj has told us. If anything, if you leave this meeting, focus on 3 things if you want to become a mentor. Not all mentorships end successfully. So sometimes it's never that serious. Understand, learn the lessons, and move forward. Secondly, commit positively to be open and honest. Open and honesty are key to any kind of relationship. So that also intertwines with mentorship. And thirdly and lastly, from Dr. Manoj, is mentorship is a special relationship. Just like DTM Njeri indicated, it is chemistry. Profound. Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj. It was a pleasure to host you. And I'll go on to Dr. Soyum. What advice or 3 key takeaways would you give to the audience today for those who are mentees, proteges, and even mentors as well? Would love to hear this from you.
My 3 takeaways are: mentorship can make a real difference in building a thriving career. Go get it now. Mentorship can be the most rewarding experience if you take it with an out-of-the-box thinking. Don't be afraid to embrace mentorship at any level of your life. We can always continue to learn from one another. And before I close, I would like to just leave you with this one last thought, is to believe in yourself. You are the mettlesome than you think, more consummate than you know, and more competent than you can imagine. The greatest achievement in life is to have the ability to create the world around you in such a way that it matches the dreams in your mind. A quote from One in a Million, which has a powerful word and meaning. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Wow.
And I really had a great time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soyum. I mean, mentorship can be an advancement to your career. It is also the most rewarding experience, and never shy away from mentorship at any level. In fact, in this case, I would use as what Dr. Manoj had indicated, for us, that there are opportunities to reverse mentorship. So if you've never been a mentor, start with reversal mentorship to your own mentor and be the mentor of your mentor, if you get what I mean. And to our last panelist, DTM Njeri. DTM Njeri, please share with the audience the 3 key takeaways, if anything, today in this discussion. What 3 key things should they leave this session with? Over to you, Njeri.
Thank you, Joan. In Toastmasters, like in most other places, mentorship is a gift freely given. Take advantage of it and make use of your mentor. Squeeze every juice out of that experience. Secondly, mentoring someone else is not an easy task. It is a lot of giving. So appreciate it whenever you experience it. Challenge yourself to mentor this year because it's an opportunity to grow. Even if you begin with just mentoring someone for a role or for an icebreaker. And lastly, plan your mentoring goals. What goals do you have before you approach that mentor? That will help you get the most out of it. Thank you, and back to you, Joan.
Squeeze that juice. I love the experience of a Toastmasters, because then you get to use metaphors to describe a lot of things. And I love the fact that if you have a mentor, get as much information in the time that you're going to be with that mentor as possible, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. That is from our DTM Njeri, and it's not going to be easy. And lastly, plan your goals if you want to walk through the journey of mentorship. It has been a pleasure to host Dr. Manoj, to host Dr. Soyum, and to host DTM Njeri Gathii, who have shared with us a lot of insights on mentorship. And I know the audience is burning with questions. I saw the chat section was, is on fire, and I would love to reach out to the questions, actually, to the persons who've asked any questions. If you have any questions before we release our panelists, do you have any direct questions as I go through the chats on any questions that have been brought up? Possibly what we're going to do, we're going to take at least 2 questions per mentor before we wrap this up. And some of them are comments. I'm going to read some of them, and the rest we're going to share through the recording of this session. Any person who has a question, please raise your hand. I can see Victor Waliaula. Victor Waliaula, you have a question for one of the panelists. Tell us your name and let us know if there's any particular panelist you're asking or it's general to them. Mr. SA, kindly unmute Victor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joan. Can you hear me? All right. So I have had this burning question and I'll quickly go through it. First of all, my name is Victor Waliaula. I do site technical support engineering and information security. So my field is in IT. I think I have like 2.5 years of experience in working in the industry. So my question is this. Recently, I signed up for another mentorship program known as Mentor Me, KE, which is a partnership between Kenya and Germany for mentorship program. So I was allocated 2 mentees, of which I did good introduction with them. We laid down the ground rules. So one mentee decided to give up because of some personal issues, because he mentioned that he had some mental issues that he needed to deal with them. So I lacked a way of like coming in to at least offer help. So I just decided to let that slide. And this brings me to my question, like how would you help a mentee who has just adequately felt like I can't continue going on with this, and I have to like let go of the mentorship? Another question is, I have another mentee who is a lady. I did first introduction, but I feel like she isn't really committed in terms of showing up and being available for that, despite me laying down the program, what you're supposed to do. So this leads me to this question: how would you handle those mentees who like they don't really show up? Like, you know, as a mentee, as a mentor, you can't really push them and be like it's more of your interest than them, because ideally they want to benefit from what you know and you're really ready to offer that, but then they are not really so much into availing themselves. How can you handle such situation? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Victor. Is there any particular panelist whom you'd like to answer this? Or if the panelists, if you are still around, anyone who would love to take this up?
I can
maybe
see.
Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Soyum.
Yeah, I'm saying I can share a little bit of experience on this same topic. Whilst, thank you, Victor, for your question, and I'll just share another personal experience. Whilst I may have mentioned Dr. Manoj today as one of my mentors, I would just like to share with you that I don't only have one mentor. I have around like 4 or 5 mentors, and all of them are for different traits in my life. And what DTM Njeri said is so powerful. It comes down to connection. It comes down to chemistry. A mentor-mentee relationship, sometimes it will not work if it feels forced. If you do feel like it's forced, it's not meant to be. I had a mentor over COVID, who's my mentor now 3 years later, who I've never met physically. But we clicked online, we clicked on the phone, and she's in the USA. I have another one in California. I have Evelyn from here, who's been my mentor for over 2 years, even before COVID. So I think when you come to being a mentee looking for a mentor, it is very important what Njeri says. It's about chemistry, and sometimes it may even be in this room. Even a Toastmaster can be your career mentor, can be your public speaking mentor, can be your life mentor. But don't forget that age is just a number. 2.5 years experience today, I will still give Dr. Manoj advice You know, Joanne today has taught us a lot. I've been a trainee under Njeri for 3 COTs. Today I know the COTs of head because I know her presentation. So Victor, my advice to you is to start understanding where you gel and who you fit in, and don't always try to force a mentee-mentor relationship. Like Dr. Manoj said, it doesn't always work. There's reverse mentorship. And don't forget, you can also be the mentor as well. So just take the path as it comes, take advice, and slowly it will work things through. And people out here will help you to identify who your mentors can be.
Wow, thank you. It all breaks down to chemistry. I hope, Victor, your question was answered profoundly. Allow me to hybrid that with a question from the chat from Mr. Felix Wasieba. How can a mentee add value to the mentor so that the relationship is not parasitic, one come and take? I think I would direct this to Dr. Manoj because of the reverse.
Of course, everybody thinks I'm an expert in reverse mentorship. But I think to answer that question, we must always remember that the most outstanding mentors are those who genuinely want to give back and make a difference in someone's life. Keeping this in mind, sharing is the key to the success of mentorship. And when it comes to sharing, that's where the mentee plays a very important and critical role in the mentor's life. And always, when we think about the mentee, we always think about the 5 C's of mentoring, and that is to share your challenges openly, think positively with an open mind on the choices you have and the consequences of those choices, and always embrace creative solutions and conclude on the way forward. So as far as mentees are concerned, the value that they add to the mentors are in fostering the 5 C's effectively. Back to you, Joan.
Absolutely, absolutely. The 5 C's, the 3 C's, challenges, talk about consequences, talk about creativity. Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for always putting in wisdom to your advice. I hope this has answered Mr. Felix Simeo in this particular question, which I love, which drives me to two hands that are raised by our audience. Morgan Gicheha, I hope I've pronounced that well. Morgan Gicheha, you have a question to one of the panelists. We'll be happy to take that one. And one more question before we wrap up the session. If anyone else has a question, we are happy to receive it at the chat, and we will direct this to the mentors. If the panelists would be comfortable to share their contacts, their email contacts, kindly share that on the chat so that if there are any further questions that we'd have to take on, will be shared to you on email. So I'll give this opportunity to Morgan Gicheha. Over to you with the question.
Hi, thank you. So thank you all. Thank you for arranging this this meeting. It's very helpful. So I don't really have a question. What I have is maybe a shout out to one of the panelists here who really helped me grow in my communication skills. And this goes to Soyum, Shah. I happen to have done a project with her, right? And I used to be very, I used to keep to myself, right? I could not communicate well as I am now, right? But Soyum always was pushing me, making sure that I present, even though I don't really have anything to say. She always pushed me to just present. And that really made me grow in my career. And I am in a very good place. Although I'm not that good, I am in a very, very good place. So thank you, Soya. Really appreciate you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Soyum, that is a testimonial. Thank you so much, Morgan. And we're glad that you've gone through the process and for you that works. So thank you for sharing that with us today. And to the last, in case it's a comment or a question, Ms. Ban. Ms. Ban, please, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Joan. Mine is the same as Morgan. I want to give a shout out as well to Dr. Manoj and Dr. Soyum. What can I say about them? They are truly, truly humble. The accolades and accomplishments that they have been able to achieve in their life is truly, truly larger than life. By them seated there, I don't think you can even imagine what they have been able to accomplish for themselves and the community at a larger scale. So, you know, we all have this belief that actions speak louder than words. So Dr. Manoj, I truly, truly believe that he inspires me in the way that he leads his life. You know, we all know if you want to make an impact in a person's life or in the world, the best way is through your lifestyle. So if you know Dr. Manoj on a personal level, his lifestyle preaches his success louder than words. The words cannot do justice to his success. His nature as a person, as a philanthropist, as a father, his generosity, integrity, it truly, truly, truly speaks volumes. And when I look at him and his beautiful wife, Jaina, and their daughter, Soyum, they truly represent what I want to emulate without them having to say a word. So if you associate with them, you automatically grow on a personal level. And we and our community are truly blessed to have the one and only one in a million Dr. Manoj. Thank you.
Inspirational feedback right there. Thank you so much, Ms. Ban, for those words, touching words. I'm sure Dr. Manoj is humbled to hear that from you. And let me push this just one more step because I've seen my mentor's hand up. Mr. Erastus Oko, maybe last word or question, and then we close up and wrap up the session in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Joan. I really just wanted to take this time and appreciate the panelists, Dr. Manoj. I know as a founding member of Iconic, we were working with them, and it's great to see what has happened. And Soyum, Dr. Soyum as well, and of course Njeri has been quite instrumental in the journey. I really want to appreciate on behalf of Division B. I really want to appreciate all the insights. And this is also another value for Toastmasters beyond just communication and leadership. I think the insights, the wisdom that has been shared is important even for life and career. And Division B's strategy, one of the strategies is really mentorship, and inviting and encouraging all Division B members, like Njeri said, to squeeze the juices from the mentorship experience. And we will be able to see most of our members in Division B and the district as a whole go to a whole nother level. I also wanted to appreciate you, Joan, for the great job that you've done and leading this with expertise. And I know that the seeds that have been sown will grow to great effect. And of course, Kimani, you know, who is also hosting the every last Tuesday sessions with the Division B academies, and this has been a great job. I've seen some of the area directors here who I wanted to really appreciate. I know Josephine was giving a tip session at Magnetic, and now she's here. Great commitment, and this is great mentorship. Really acknowledging all this mentorship. Evelyn, I think, has been acknowledged, and she's been a great mentor, serving and doing great job. So for me, it's really to just appreciate first the panelists, to appreciate the organizers, the great job, and really to see how we can be able to go to the next level as Toastmasters, and also as individuals and Kenyans and Africans, taking our continent to the next level. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, our very own Director, Division B, and my mentor, Mr. Ouko, has literally pulled me to Toastmasters even when I didn't want to engage in Toastmasters, because I believe he saw something greater, just what we're talking about and what we've discussed today. So to wrap up the session, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this moment to express my sincere gratitude to our esteemed panelists, Dr. Manoj, Shah, DTM, Njeri, Gathii. I think I ought to engage you personally through this mentorship journey. Dr. Soyum, Shah, beautiful stories, wonderful engagements. Thank you for sharing this valuable insights and experiences on mentorship with us today. Your contributions have given us a better understanding on the importance of mentorship and how it can shape the future of our careers, our Toastmasters journey, and our personal growth. I also want to extend my thanks to our audience today, guests and Division B, for taking the time to join us for this session. I mean, your participation, your engagement, your questions, your comments have been a great engagement to this session. You've added so much to this discussion, and I hope that you've taken away some valuable insights that you can apply in your own lives. And in conclusion, I believe that mentorship is a critical aspect of personal professional growth. And it's great to see the passion and dedication our panelists have had in this field. I hope this session has been informative to each and every one of you. It has inspired you to seek out mentorship or becoming a protege to one of your mentors, learning to engage better with your mentors and opportunities that are there for yourself to become a greater mentor to someone else. I hope today, if anything, you walk away with something from this session. Once again, thank you to everyone for joining us today. This concludes our panel session, and I hope to see each and every one of you very soon. Now that we're in a virtual environment, I know that is possible. Have a lovely evening, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Joan, and goodbye.